Please don't scream.
Nah, Sid! Don't you blame the movies! Movies don't create psychos! Movies make psychos more creative! What's going on? My name is Jonjo Lyons, and today I'm here to present to you my review for Tetsuo the Iron Man. Written and directed by Shin'ya Tetsuo the Iron Man stars all of these lot. A businessman accidentally kills the metal fetishist who gets his revenge by slowly turning the man into a grotesque hybrid of flesh and rusty metal. My first experience of this film was with my mate Finn, King Bracket represent, when he showed it to me when we lived together like 15 years ago. I remember it being an absolute nightmare of sped up footage, insane camera work, and screaming people turning into robots and trying to kill each other. So naturally, when my patron Pinky suggested it, I knew it had to be the next video. The next 3 videos, really. This is the first in a trilogy of films and a trilogy of videos that you're going to be seeing over the next 3 weeks. If I'm still alive by the end of this process, we might have to keep to the weekly schedule, but I promise nothing. Anyway, with robot on the way, yes, spinning robot let's not waste any more time. This is Tetsuo the Iron Man. The movie begins with this brother walking through some derelict area. He gets home with some metal bits and dumps them on the floor before opening up his shirt. We cut around the room and see it filled with wiring, scrap metal, and pictures of runners. Suddenly, the man pierces his leg and then runs this giant screw through his teeth. The man pushes the screw into his leg and the runners burst into flames. Cut to the man wrapping his wound as he looks down and sees it unwrapped again, now covered in maggots. He screams and runs out of his little hidey hole only to be hit by a car. And I love the way that the filmmaker conveys this accident, with floaty close-ups of the headlights set to smooth jazz. The creativity born from the lack of budget is so beneficial to this film in that way. Cut to this fella, the salary man, having a little dance in a metal works, giving me serious Footloose vibes. The man's back starts to mutate and he screams as we cut back to reality and he has a shave. He notices a tiny piece of metal coming out of his cheek, and when he touches it, the thing pops, covering his cheek in jam. Cut to him on the phone to his girlfriend. They say hello to each other about 1 billion times, and then we cut to this shot of the pair f***ing in the woods. She then asks if he's okay and says she feels weird since the hit and run incident. It looks like he's about to answer when we get this cut. Cut to salary man getting off a train looking like your mum at a penis convention. Sweaty b****, she f***ing loves it. He takes a seat next to a woman who then has a vision of a body writhing around in this metal mess. She goes to touch it with her pen when salary man turns and sees her arm is now mutated. He runs down into the tunnels under the station as the woman gives chase. He makes it to a bathroom and, with no escape available, hides in a cubicle. The woman then enters and looks like she's about to do her makeup when she pulls off her ear and drops it into the toilet next to salary man. Freaking out, he stabs her with the pen and tries to run but is attacked. She lifts him off the ground and is about to enter him with her robot hand when the camera goes wild as salary man runs home. He tries to shut the garage door, but the woman stops him and starts yanking it back up. He grabs a wrench to defend himself, and in response, the woman grabs her breast and pops it before grabbing salary man. He starts striking her as we see the metal body that is possessing her react. The woman screams as he bear hugs her, then hits her so hard that it severs the possessor's control. Cut to salary man doing a little dance in the corridor, screaming it hurts, and then to the possessor seemingly passed out. Cut back to salary man as he finds his arm and ankle now mutated and deformed with metal. The rocket on his ankle, yes, the rocket on his ankle, go on, sparks to life, and we cut to salary man speeding through the streets. There's a quick cut of the man with his girlfriend freaking out at this development, and then a woman dancing with the giant robot. She then f***s him with her robot while what I can only assume is robot leaks out of all of the machinery around them. tip to root, you know. Savage times. Cut to Salaryman waking up from this nightmare. Or dream, depending on how you look at it. This is a safe space where you can get f***ed by Japanese women with giant robot d***s. He washes his head in the bathroom and touches his face wound, which once again sprays jam everywhere. He starts pulling off the band-aid when his girlfriend wakes up asking what's the matter. He says nothing, pulls off the band-aid screaming, and then they bang! We see static as the man's arm wound pushes itself out of the bandages and the two break away. The girlfriend smiles and we cut to Salaryman whacking down a pan of food. He feeds his girlfriend, but every time she bites down, we hear metal grinding and inexplicable laser sounds. He offers her his sausage. That's a metaphor for a purple-headed custard chucker, which she licks then bites down on, causing the man to jizz in his pants. He pops the pan back in the kitchen and then embraces his love, asking her to never leave him. She screams as something suddenly pushes itself out of Salaryman's back, and then they start to hear the sound of a drill starting up. And this is where the film turns into something of legend for me. Salaryman's cock turns into a giant spinning robot drill bit and carves through the table in front of him. Well done. Well done. The mutations under his shirt get worse as Salaryman gets the f*** out of there. Cut to the girlfriend as confused as I am as she approaches the door. Inside we can hear Salaryman moaning. She tries to open the door but he tells her not to, saying it's too much to take. She tells him to let her in but he says to stay away. She continues to plead with him, saying she doesn't scare easily when Salaryman's robot hand comes through the door. He says he can't show her anymore and decides that he's being punished. She breaks the lock and runs inside, finding Salaryman cowering in the corner with a blanket over his head. She again reassures him that she can take it and hugs him, begging him not to leave her alone before pulling off the blanket, revealing this. Get that robot cock in my mouth. The girlfriend screams, breaking away as Salaryman comes at her, piercing the wall with his robot. She takes him down, then uses the hot pan to burn his face, but the machinery reacts, grabbing the weapon off her and knocking her back. He mocks her, saying, "You can take it, huh?" Then as he pulls her face close to his robot, she stabs him in the leg, which gushes blood. He scuttles away as we see the new exhaust pipes protruding from his back as she screams at him to stop. Salaryman then stabs a fork into the outlet, juicing himself with electricity. He then stands in all his glory, stabs the fork into his face and attacks once more, grabbing the woman and pushing her against the wall, his robot dangerously close to her hippo's yawn. Hi, I just want to pause the review quickly and apologise for that comment before. If you continue to watch, and I really hope you do, I will promise the next time I have to refer to a woman's socket, I will find a much more respectful way of doing it. Even socket's not accurate, really. You know, you might just mash yours against another like that. She tries to stab him again with no effect as he gets in close, asking if she'd like a taste of his sewage pipe. Finally, the woman is able to stab him in the neck and the two collapse on the floor, his spinning slowing to a stop. The woman then seems to get into the whole thing, licking his face as the blood soaks them both. We get another shot of them banging in the woods, then cut back to the room where Salaryman hears the sound of his drill going. He then looks at his missus to see this. I was wondering if they were going to actually use this thing, and I'm very happy to say they do. This kills her, spoilers, and Salaryman looks at his all covered in blood and uterus, which he doesn't take well. Better than she took it, but still. During all this, we see a flash of the possessor in the machine and then see it again at the end, all chilled and satisfied. Cut to Salaryman getting in the bath. He touches the metal in his neck and we cut to a scrapyard. In the middle sits this building and inside we find what looks like a giant mechanical cocoon. We then see the possessor emerge from the center, revealing it to be the metal fetishist. Also, I'm going to call him MF from now on because I'm having so much f***ing trouble saying metal fetishist. Metal fetishist? F*** that. I can't be f***ing bothered with that bullshit. So there you go. We then see a flashback of MF seeing a doctor with some metal stuck in his brain. The doctor says he can't believe the man is still alive and tells him he is unable to remove it. He then advises the man to think of it as a piece of jewellery. We then see in another flashback MF saying it's repaired and then shuddering in pain as the machine bit starts to come alive. Cut to MF screaming into fire and then to Salaryman standing over the corpse of his girlfriend. He's popped her in the bath with some flowers, and honestly, at this point, what more could you ask for? Well, not being f***ed to death by a giant robot would probably be on the list, but you can't have everything. Alright, Sandra, get in the bath, here's your flowers, just dip that giant cavernous hole where your vagina used to be in the water, you'll be fine in 10 minutes. He leans down and uses the pipe coming out of his mouth to pump a mystery liquid directly down her throat. It's not a mystery though, is it? It's cum. Salaryman takes a look in the mirror and we get to see his robot body. And the costume here, though low budget, I think looks f***ing awesome. The phone rings and he answers only to be greeted by MF. He tells Salaryman he knows all about him and he won't escape him. He slams the phone down and the TV comes to life, showing Salaryman a flashback to the car accident from earlier. It seems it was Salaryman and his girlfriend who ran over MF before burying the body in the woods and having a cheeky little sex session. And they do this right above MF's makeshift grave, no less. All the while the girlfriend's saying that he's looking at them. Again, we see MF laughing as Salaryman sticks a knife into another outlet, charging himself up. Cut to MF getting himself dolled up for the coming confrontation and Salaryman producing Wolverine claws. We get another speedy run through the streets as MF brings flowers and the metal around him contorts in his presence. Cut back to Salaryman shocking himself further when the metal surrounding him starts to twist and turn, revealing he's not alone. Outside, MF grabs the tap, covering it in robot and pulling it out of the ground. Things then go mental as the turns everything it touches to metal, going inside the house and getting the cats in his girlfriend's hand. We see the girlfriend get possessed and wake up as Salaryman freaks out before he's attacked by her. She tries to stab him but just connects with metal. They struggle when suddenly MF's hand comes punching through the girlfriend, covering her in robot which he then emerges from. MF gives Salaryman the universal sign for "I'm gonna f*** you up" and then shoves the flowers in his face and gets up close. Salaryman realizes MF didn't die and MF says "long time no see" before making the TV Salaryman's new hat. MF says soon Salaryman's brain will turn to metal and offers to show him something wonderful. A new world. We then fly through a bunch of robot buttholes, ended up in this vision of the future, the world now ravaged by this mechanical virus. Salaryman is born from a cocoon before being devoured by wires, stripped to the bone and then remade in a new metal form. This then splits apart as everything starts sparking. Cut to MF screaming as he's hit by the car, then Salaryman pulling the TV off his head, revealing his new face. MF then chucks him around the city as Salaryman tries to get a hold of himself. Cut to a crazy chase sequence through the city as the pair use their rocket feet. We see quick flashes of this guy with the metal pipe MF had stuck in his brain, which causes him to react, grabbing his head. The flashback man beats MF with the pole over and over as blood sprays and MF screams. We hear what sounds like a child screaming and then the man lifts the pole and swings it down with all his might. MF screams "stop", smiles, and then we see a quick shot of him pushing the pole into himself from the start. Back in the real world, the chase finally ends with Salaryman collapsing in a warehouse. His mask falls off his face and he looks around wondering just what the actual f*** is about to happen next. He's greeted by MF who pins him to the ground, cut to Salaryman now finding himself part of a bigger mass of metal. He screams as MF laughs when his hand falls off, revealing a giant gun/flamethrower underneath. MF tells him that his first implant was rusty before his cells started to assimilate it, but Salaryman's shaver was stainless steel. He then says he'll finish him and charges towards Salaryman. At the last moment, Salaryman's body reacts, catching MF and filling him and his gun with wires as all sorts of emerges. MF laughs, saying Salaryman's future is metal. Salaryman responds to this by f***ing him half to death with his robot. He then tries to absorb MF, but he resists and tries to get away. This doesn't work and Salaryman is able to swallow him up whole. Then this happens. and the two become one. Spice Girls. Cut to the words New World made out of metal from the opening, and then both men's heads breaking through the mass. Cut to the destroyed warehouse and then to the streets. And it is then that we see what the men have become. A giant penis mech that'd fit your mum like a glove. Salaryman says he feels great, and MF says that they can mutate the whole world into metal, that they can rust the world into the dust of the universe. Salaryman is up for it, so MF announces that their love will destroy this whole fucking world, and they set off to destroy everything and everyone. The end. Well, Marvel films have gotten weird since Endgame. Not to simplify my analysis of this film too much, but Tetsuo the Iron Man is mental. As well as that, it's also one of the best independent horror movies I've ever seen. The creativity on display in every single frame of Tetsuo blew my mind, especially when it came to the stop motion and just overall ingenuity in regard to shooting techniques and costume design. I love the way that everything moves in this film. The wires and mechanical transformations, the way the chase scene at the end is shot, the robot that I know obviously isn't actually robot. The way all of it is animated using real physical props and people was so good and essential to the surrealist nature of the whole film. It's super weird and I bloody love it. The story can also seem a bit weird to some, but it is pretty straightforward. Couple commits manslaughter, tries to hide it, and are cursed. Fair enough. The thing that makes the story interesting to me is the fact that our main character, Salaryman, is actually the bad guy here. Sure, MF has all the hallmarks of the evil villain, but it's when we see that he was a victim of abuse and murdered, putting aside the fact that the couple bang in front of him as he dies, it stands to reason that he'd want to get his revenge. There's also something to be said about the man's love for metal. Yes, metal being stuck in his head is a direct result of the abuse, and you could say that this infected his mind, giving him both a control over and obsession with metal. But another way to look at the metal would be as armor, protection from further pain caused by others. Also, the fact that we see him shoving a metal bar underneath his flesh suggests that the pain is coming from an internal threat. The traumatic memories swimming around in his brain that he must protect himself from. When he gets hit by the car and discarded by Salaryman and his girlfriend, he reaches his breaking point and inflicts the same trauma and the results of that trauma on them, causing the mutation. At the end, when the two merge and we see them in that 2001 Space Odyssey looking shot, this represents them understanding each other, sharing in their pain and becoming one. Their love for each other at the end of the film is one of mutual understanding and kinship in their survival. They're now a giant robot penis team, and for the first time feel strong enough to take on the world that has treated them so badly. This is of course assuming that the Salaryman had some sort of internal struggle himself, as it's not obviously touched upon in the film. Seeing as he is indeed a salaryman, presumably working in some office somewhere, I would assume that he works under a strict boss who may not treat him with very much humanity. I'm just judging from my experiences working in offices. You, Martin. If he is treated with a lack of humanity by those above him, when he encounters MF lying in the street, the same behavior is applied. What MF does at the end when the men combine is show him the humanity he's been missing. The heart in steel. And now, fully understanding this, Salaryman feels for the first time, and the two, or one as the case may be, set out to further spread their teachings. Or the whole thing is a metaphor for gay sex with robots, cause Japan. You be the judge. I also of course love the gore in the film. It's nowhere near the best gore I've ever experienced, but it works, and I'm glad that the girlfriend scene ended the way that it did. Don't show me a robot unless you're gonna use it, you know what I mean? Also, it's in black and white, and if you know me, you know I love black and white movies, so that's cool as well. All in all, I loved Tetsuo the Iron Man. It's a violent, surreal, body horror nightmare adaptation of an anime that doesn't exist, and I am so glad that there's more of it with parts 2 and 3. That being said, I think the reason I love the film as much as I do is because of the low-budget, independent nature, resourcefulness, and how unique its limitations make it. It's a great movie, and I can't wait to get to part 2 next week. So that was my review for Tetsuo the Iron Man. What do you lot think? I cannot wait to see what the filmmaker does with more money. Is about to get wild, I'm sure. As I said, next week I'm going to be releasing my review for Tetsuo 2 and Tetsuo 3 the following week. Thanks again to Pinky for requesting this one. So glad I revisited it, man. I completely forgot about that girlfriend scene. Speaking of which, if you want to see that scene and all the rest of the gore completely uncut, head over to patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. There you gain access to the completely uncut version of this video, plus others with more stuff coming soon. I just did a script reading for my feature film October's Daughter. That was pretty fun. We did a Q&A. There's other stuff coming, like reviews for other horror media. I'm doing a review on the Night of the Living Dead comic, the New York one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's f***ed up, and I'm going to be talking about that. There's other script readings coming. Batman vs. Jason, Jason X2. Lots of cool shit. And all that can be yours for as little as $1 a month. That being said, if you want to pledge more, you are more than welcome. In the higher tiers, we got some more personalized benefits, so if you want to be a part of that, check it out now. Patreon.com/Jonjo Lyons. Link in the description, obviously. So that's it for this week. I'm going to get straight to work on the next video. But in the meantime, like this video, click subscribe if you haven't already. Massive shouts out to everyone that got us over the 10,000 subscribers mark. That's crazy. And also leave a comment suggesting any up movies or movie series that you want me to cover in the future. If you can find me something truly upsetting, I will be forever grateful. Honestly, if you can really me up properly, you win a prize. I don't know what the prize is. Maybe a vial of my tears or something. I don't know. Thanks for watching. My name's Jonjo Lyons, and I'm gonna go and try and find Transformers porn. It's got to exist, right? Yeah.